Hello, my name is Haas, and I'm president of Medusa Consulting Group. I'm sitting here with Mr. Harry Moser, who is the founder of the Reshoring Initiative. Harry, can you tell us a little bit about the Reshoring Initiative?
I founded the Reshoring Initiative to bring jobs back to America, specifically to bring manufacturing jobs back, because those are the ones that pay the best and that also bring on the most other employees because of the multiplier effect.
I see. And why is reshoring so important?
Mainly because so much has been offshored. So probably 4 or 5 million jobs have been offshored, and those jobs plus these related service jobs would bring back a total of maybe 7, 8, 9 million jobs, and that would cut the unemployment rate in half.
7, 8 million jobs, that's a lot of jobs. Why aren't more companies doing that?
For many of them, it's because they do not understand what it really costs them when they offshore. They miss a lot of the costs, like the travel costs to go over and check on that vendor, the carrying cost of the inventory while it's coming back, the impact on their warranty costs, their quality, their deliveries to their customers. And so what I've done is help them understand that with a software called the Total Cost of Ownership Estimator that helps them understand what it really costs. They find out that it's costing 20 or 30% more than they believed, and when something costs, when you find out it costs 20 or 30% more than you thought it did, you change your decisions, you change your behavior, you bring some of those jobs back. 20
or 30% difference, that's a lot of money. What would be some of the examples you can give us of ways they could recoup that money?
Well, as I mentioned, the travel cost. It's typically if the company has a supplier, let's say in China, and they go over 2 or 3 times a year, a couple of weeks each. If you include the travel cost and the labor of that person who presumably has work to do back in the office, you're talking $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year. It's significant money. And obviously the duty and the freight, the transportation costs, but also the carrying cost for the inventory while it's coming and for the extra inventory that they have to have in the warehouse because the inventory comes in big blocks and containers instead of being delivered just in time by their local U.S. supplier.
But would your typical accounting catch that as a cost of goods sold?
No, they'd be caught typically as overhead costs. They disappear into some category like interest paid. They'd be in the balance sheet. They'd be in travel costs. But the accounting systems are not designed to bring together all of those costs into total cost of ownership.
Well, tell me how this total cost of ownership estimator works.
Basically, the customer, the user, has to put in the data. Because if you put good stuff, you can get good out. And some of the data is hard data, like the price, the quantity, the weight. And others subjective. What is the impact on their innovation? It's generally believed that if your suppliers are close to the company, that you can innovate more efficiently. Whereas if they're at a great distance with a different language and a different time zone, innovation is impacted. So since we're an innovation country, since our future is innovation, shortening the supply chain, reshoring, enables companies to innovate more effectively.
I can see how that'd be very important, especially for companies. Are many companies doing that now? Are they beginning to reshore?
The amount of reshoring, let's say to start with, there's a huge amount of offshoring. It started with Japan, and then it went to China, and it's been going on for 50, 60 years. And so it's huge. It's still growing. Some companies are still doing it. But the amount of reshoring has been tiny, but it's growing at a more rapid rate than the offshoring. So I'm working with several companies to help them do it, and the number of articles that we see in the press is increasing all the time, examples of companies that have actually done it. So just to mention any of the viewers who have reshored, I encourage you to send me at harry.moser@comcast.net any examples of your successful reshorings, and I'll use them to get into the media to help accelerate the trend.
Well, thank you. This might be a good time to tell the audience what your website is, too.
Okay, the website is www.reshorenow.org.
Okay, so that's reshorenow.org.
Correct.
Okay, that's terrific. And what's on that website when people go there?
They can see the total cost of ownership estimator, a library of 98 articles about reshoring. So as example, a company might go in and see that their competitor or somebody else in their industry had reshored, so that they would decide, if competitor X has done that and achieved these benefits, perhaps I should do that. And it opens them up to the possibility. And a series of other related information.
That really sounds interesting. So is there anything coming up that you can talk about in the near future?
So first, lots of presentations. So if they go on the website, they'll find a schedule of events. And most important of which coming up soon is a series of events in the Illinois Reshoring Initiative. And so we're getting together the big companies, motivating them, training their supply chain managers, bringing them together with the small companies, and then going up and helping them to make sure they've actually gotten all the help they need so that they can reshore. Our objective is to show that the cost of bringing manufacturing jobs back via reshoring is 1% or less of what it costs with a stimulus program to create jobs. So we call on everyone to support this effort.
Well, Harry, thank you for coming today. I'm sitting here with Mr. Harry Moser, founder of the National Reshoring Initiative. Thank you.